What's a secret you'll never tell your partner, but are willing to tell strangers on Reddit? My husband loves talkative cats. When we first got our kittens, I gave them a treat every time they made a meow or chirp. Since I was working from home, they ended up becoming very vocal. He still goes on about how lucky we are to have such talkative cats on a weekly basis. You deserve credit for this. Sometimes I just sit in my car outside work or our apartment for 20 to 30 minutes because I need some time alone. I have my mind full to the brim at work and rarely get time in the house alone. Sometimes I just need it to be quiet and not have to pay attention to anything. I relate to this so much. My partner works remotely and I go into work. I never ever have any alone time. I understand needing time to just sit in silence without someone wondering if something is on your mind. I love her food, but I always feel bad when she's cooking for me. What if she loves cooking for you? Like, genuinely enjoys it? The reason I wasn't hungry that one day in Dublin was because when I stayed behind to get ready, while she waited in the lobby, I ate the entire box of leftover chicken wings that we took home from the restaurant the day before. I ate 15 cold, oily chicken wings in about 5 minutes at 9 AM before heading out for breakfast. I worked as a muscle guy in my early 20s and made a chunk of money getting good at hurting people. She's a pretty anti-violence Buddhist, so I'm not gonna bring that up, lol. Then maybe she would recognize that you are not that person anymore and capable of growth. I've broken your personalized cup your sister got you 3 times. I recreated the design on Paint and got some screen printing stall at the mall to print it on the cup. Each time it looks a little bit different. I mean, after the second time you just need to save the design, my guy. My wife shit while delivering our son. Something she was terrified she would do. The nurse cleaned up very quickly and gave me a look that needed no explanation. I never said a word. She talked after delivery about how happy she was that didn't happen to her. I'll let her keep that peace of mind for life. That I actually prefer creamy peanut butter. I buy the extra crunchy because that's what he likes. Why not buy both? I wasn't asleep yet and saw her reading the reply messages to those guys on Craigslist. Brother, dip. My parents think he's gay. Son, I think your partner is weird. He's probably gay. 15 years ago I had a new medication that did not mix well with alcohol. I had a party with friends. We decided to go out in town. Next thing I remember, I woke up in a cell at the police station stripped down to my undies. It turned out I took a taxi. Instead of going home, I went to my mother's street. Apparently I was lucid enough to remember her street, but not her house, and ended up in her neighbor's backyard doing enough noise to wake him up. In the end I got a $400 fine and a tremendous amount of shame. Every time we are playing Yahtzee, and she asks, do I have one more roll, or was that 3, I always say one more regardless of the truth. I'm very attracted to her mentally and physically, but I would be more attracted if she started working out again. You just said what I know my husband is thinking. It actually helped. Thanks. Sometimes I'm not 100% sure she's the one. It hurts because she seems so sure all the time, but I think it's normal to have fluctuations in feelings. For me anyways. You know how some people can be content with life and others are always looking to improve. So the latter category tends to be people who climb career ladders, not get complacent in life, etc etc. If you're that type of person, the downside is you will always have doubts about your partner, no matter how perfect they are, or in love you are. Source: my therapist told me this is something I do. Edit: did not expect this comment to hit such a chord with many people. If any of you want to talk about it further, feel free to PM me. Not sure how much help I can be, but I at least understand the pain it can cause. That my wife always screams. She just doesn't seem to be able to talk at a normal level. Feel like she should be selling fish at a marketplace. Love her though. The knives from Costco stay sharp because I sharpen them, not because they never need to be sharpened. To be fair, and to answer the why, wouldn't you tell her she knows? But it was a quip, by which I mean not an argument, that we sort of had. Close bracket. That his parents are really pissing me off, and I do not want to be around them anymore. They're lousy grandparents to our son, but not to his sister's children. I drink her fancy olive oil right out of the bottle when she's not home. WTF, this is the worst one here. My husband is tolithated during sex, and it is a total turn off. Like he will say boobies. Or slap my ass and thinks it's funny. And like, I just want to be ravaged. And whenever he does these things, I get dry as a bone downstairs. IDK how to bring this up without being an ass. Just tell him. It's way more important than you will ever realize if you stay silent. I hate that he doesn't want to go anywhere, ever. Everything is always a chore, or he dreads it. I want to go on hikes, random car rides, a damn picnic. Just get out of the house with him, just him. I want to go on dates. I'm growing very tired of this lifestyle. I don't know why I can't tell her, but lately, 3 years of marriage and a 9-month-old, I'm more attracted to her than ever. It becomes distracting as I think about it all day sometimes. I think I'm embarrassed that it used to be a more average attraction and now it is in overdrive. Been this way for months. I know it probably sounds silly, but IDK it just feels like I became a different person recently. I'm willing to bet you didn't have an average attraction before. Your attraction has just grown. She grew and carried your child. As my husband tells me, that's an amazingly beautiful thing. I remember being less than a week postpartum, walking around the house carrying our second baby. I was still wearing heavy duty underwear / pads, my breasts were leaking, I had deep circles under my eyes, and he told me that he had never seen a prettier woman in his life. That I was more beautiful in that moment than I was on our wedding day. We've been married 10 years, together for 13. We have both changed a lot, both physically and emotionally. He is still the most attractive man I have ever seen, and a lot of that is due to the shared history we have. We still send dirty texts. We think about each other all the time. We hold hands, slap butts, and kiss daily. I flash him a lot. We are so into each other, probably more at 32 than when we were 19, though we still feel like teenagers sometimes. What you feel is wonderful. Please don't think there is anything weird. And you should definitely tell her. My 2 cents. Not my partner, but my friend. That is super nosy and creeps my Reddit account. Fuck you Shayla, I know you're reading this. Yeah. Fuck you Shayla. My husband complains about being in pain so much that I feel like there's no room for me to be in pain. And sometimes I really resent that. I have a chronic health condition that I have no choice but to manage well, because he wouldn't know what to do if he had to care for me like I have to care for him. Sucks, but it is what it is. Eater, sorry to hear this is so common. My partner is otherwise lovely, and I've told him before, no need to beat a dead horse. To me it's a small part of a big and full relationship, so it's just something I live with. I've never been a playboy, and got incredibly lucky that she ever even spoke to me in the first place. She thinks I'm this smooth-talking experienced ladies man. She has no idea she's the first girl to fall for my amazing pickup line. Do you have a boyfriend? To her it's impossible to imagine I wasn't some wild dog humping the I-95 until she reined me in. I love her to bits and will never cheat on her, but I don't like having sex with her anymore, and I fake my orgasms. I make fuck you money, and every day I feel like a fraud. I Google half the shit I do, and in large part one wing my job. Everyone thinks I'm so confident and know what I'm doing. I'm drowning and feeling like any moment they'll find out I'm faking my way to success. I've been doing my job for 5 years and I've done a good job. Can't shake the feeling that I'm a fraud. Dude, IDK how to tell you you're just good at your job. You're able to think on your feet and adapt. Great skills which are probably a huge reason others think you're so good / confident at your job. Everyone Googles shit for their job. This isn't like high school where you need to have every skill memorized for the test at the end of the week. Also, I'm sure you've already heard of it, but if you haven't, look into imposter syndrome. A therapist can help you a ton with these feelings of secretly being a fraud. Many years ago, a friend, F, and I, M, fucked. During it, she tried to stick her finger in my ass. I don't like that, so I didn't let her. Time passed. She met a man and married him. We are still friends. Occasionally we have drinks and eats together. Every time I see the guy, I think there goes a dude who likes a finger up his ass. When I play video games and my wife isn't here, I narrate what I do and respond to fake questions from a non-existent chat, like I'm some kind of big shot streamer. I even look at a fake camera when something happened. Lol. When I was a child I pissed in a bucket, threw it on my trampoline, and told my friend to go play on it. I wish you hadn't told us this either. I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease about 5 years ago. I decided at that point I would never get married or have kids as the prognosis was not good. I isolated myself. It was a very lonely existence. Then we met about 2 years ago. Life has been sweet ever since. The disease is hitting its stride now. It is getting harder and harder for me to do things. I grin and bear it, because I want these remaining years to be stress-free and happy. That she killed a cat. She's very much a cat person. Once she picks me up from a friend's house, and driving through town, a cat ran in front of us, and we heard a thud underneath the car. She screamed and looked in the rear view mirror and we seen the cat stagger into a driveway. She was very upset, and convinced she killed it. I told her no, the cat clearly ran across the street, and is probably fine. She was meeting some friends, and I was taking the car home, so she said, would I check the driveway of that house on my way home, to make sure the cat was okay? I said I would. I drove back that way, and parked a few houses down, and looked in the driveways and there it was, lying motionless sprawled out on the ground. Oh shit. Part of me was thinking just go home, and say you seen it happily licking its anus, but curiosity got the better of me. I wanted to check to make sure it was still living. The problem was it was a gated house that was also a B&B, so I didn't want to just wander in on someone else's property, so I rang the phone number on the sign at the side of the road. By this stage I'm thinking, what the hell are you at? You should have been home long ago, but I was on autopilot and just went with it. The owner answers and I tell him there's a possibility dead cat in your drive. Do you mind if I come in just to check it's okay? The guy's like yeah, I guess. It's just I'm out of town, and there's no one here, but it's fine if you want to let yourself in the side gate. He also says thanks, so at this point I have to do it. I'm too far in now. I'll let myself in, and walk over and there she is, a big dead cat. Oh balls. Well, I'll just tell my wife the cat wasn't there, and we can forget about the whole thing, except the owner now knows there could be a dead cat on his property, and when he gets home, and sees it lying there he's got my number, and will know I just left it there. So now I have to make a decision. Do I leave this dead cat here, or do I take it away, and if I do, what do I do with it? Across the street is a store, so I walk over and buy bin bags and rubber gloves, make my way back over and scoop the fluffy corpse into a bin bag. Now I got a dead cat in a bag. I walk over to my car carrying this black bin bag. People are walking past me on the street, smiling and giving that upwards nod that strangers give. I give a nod back, but I'm not fully into it, because they don't know I'm walking past them with a dead cat in a bin bag. I don't feel like taking it into my car because, you know, it's a dead cat. So I Google vets, and there happens to be one not too far away, walking distance. I ring and ask them, do they dispose of dead pets? They said they do. So I make my way down there, in through the front door, and ask the receptionist, was I just talking to them about pet disposal? She looks at me slightly freaked and says yes. I produce the bag, and say, oh well, I have a cat here, and can I just give it to her? She's like, yeah, you just leave it at our back door back outside, and charges me 50 quid for the pleasure. I walk back to the car, and sat there for at least half an hour, in silence and as still as a dead cat, trying to process the last hour of my life. I text my wife, and say, no honey, couldn't find the cat, she must be fine, and ran off somewhere safe. See you at home XXX. Nice try, honey. Last night you made fried rice with shrimp. I ate the whole bowl, even though it tasted nasty. God, it was awful. Maybe not exactly what the question is looking for, but I was good friends with my now wife for 4 or 5 years before we eventually got together and fell in love. No two other dudes. Getting out of the friend zone is possible. Ironically, if you just be her good friend, refrain from making inappropriate advances, and be there as someone she genuinely loves spending time with. Back when we were friends, though, I was a pretty heavy drug user, opiates, and hid it from most of my friends and family as best I could. We've discussed this generally, but I don't think she realizes the extent to which I was ruining my life back then. It's still hard for me to talk about. I stole money from my parents. There were repercussions with my job, etc. I'm lucky I never got into legal trouble. Honestly, things turned around when I started dating her, because it inspired me to get my life together, and I had something to really live for. I've said to her once or twice that getting with her probably saved my life, but I'm generally very sarcastic, and she thought I was being facetious. I'd like to open up and be more honest about that time in my life, but there's still a lot of guilt and trauma buried inside me, and I clam up anytime I think about talking about it. That family dinner I coordinated with your dad was supposed to be a one-on-one conversation, where I ask permission to marry you. Guess I'll just wait a few months, since the whole family caught wind of our meeting.